Hello, folks. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the weekly Godly Trading podcast. This is our Sunday night Bible study for traders episode. If someone would let me know in the chat how the sound sounds, I am flying solo today. I am going to be my own producer, my own everything tonight. Johnny, you're in the chat. Let me know how the sound sounds. Last time I got 5 minutes in. Last time I was by myself, I got 5 minutes in, and I had the mic muted. So. By the way, as we pray for each other, prayers are needed for anybody that is a fan of these folks. Yeah, I actually put it in the book. In the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. The original King James references long suffering and said, if you are a fan of this particular franchise, you know all about long suffering. It's going to be a long season for us. Anyhow, welcome for being here. Thank you for being here. Tonight's topic is we're wrapping up our Where's God, our Veggie Tales copyright infringement. Where's God? I can hear you kind of spotty. Well, that's probably my internet. Starlink is amazing, but I do have trees overhead. And so sometimes the satellite goes out of range. But I'm here for now. Where's God when I am fill in the blank? We do where's God when I'm scared? Where's God when I'm lonely? Several other ones. So tonight is where's God when I'm successful? And that's an interesting question to ask. We usually ask them, where's God when I'm hurting, right? I have a loved one in the hospital, whatever the situation is. We think, this person's hurting, I'm hurting. Where's God in all of that? Where's God when I'm losing? Where's God when life is falling apart? It is easy. Well, okay, maybe easy is the wrong term, but we can certainly see how when times are tough, we turn to God more often. But here's the danger. Success is actually a little more spiritually dangerous than struggle. Struggle makes us desperate for God. They're one of my favorite verses in the entire Bible. We've got several, as one can imagine. 2 Chronicles 20:12. This is, I believe it's Hezekiah. It could be Jehoshaphat, but I believe it's Hezekiah. Is speaking before God, and he's referencing this army that comes. There's like 3 different nations have an army surrounding them. And they're like, oh God, will you not judge them? For we have no power against this great multitude, nor do we know what to do, but our eyes are on you. And so when you are in one of those situations, it is almost instinctual for us to cry out to God. But what happens when we're not in those situations? What happens when it's like, God, I'm surrounded by peace and harmony and plenty, and I'm crying out to you because I'm bored? I mean, it's not quite the same situation. And it's a shame. It really is a shame that we only reach out to our creator, our savior, our provider when things are tough. So tonight we're going to cover 2 main aspects of this idea. Number 1, we're going to look at, and y'all forgive me if I looks like I'm doing stuff here. It's because I'm doing stuff here because Mr. Producer is unfortunately out having to earn a living. 2 main topics tonight. Number 1, don't forget God when you're successful. And this is all trading related. So as we become successful, or however you define success, once you get there, we're going to talk about that in a minute, don't forget God. And number 2, the very concept of, is there a there? There's success isn't quite the finish line that we might think it is. So I'm going to just cover a few verses here, and I have a handy-dandy new tool. I'm hoping this thing works. We're going to look at these verses here. So I'm going to start off here. Deuteronomy 8:11 through 14 says, "Beware." This is God speaking to his children, the Israelites. "Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments, his judgments, and his statutes, which I command you today, lest when you have eaten and are full and have built beautiful houses and dwell in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, when your silver and your gold are multiplied, and all that you have is multiplied, when your heart is lifted up, and you forget the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage." What is the trading equivalent of that? When your gold and silver trade have hit their 10-to-1 return, and you're looking at your 2nd or 5th or 10th month in a row of 5% gain or 2% gain or whatever it is. Don't forget the Lord your God who brought you here in the first place. You know, he talks about bringing you out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. And, well, that's old-timey, but Bella, that is King James, that's New King James. That is old-timey language there. We're not in a house of bondage. Oh, really? Look back at the beginning of your trading journey. How would you describe that? Would you possibly think that, let me say, put in the chat here, has your trading journey been all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns since you started? Not a single day of being in the house of bondage. I suspect I won't have anybody put in the chat, oh yeah, that's me. Sunshine and rainbows. I also believe it's a VeggieTales song. Man, it's amazing what those folks will put in your brain. Kind of saying, don't forget. He's telling them, when these things that I'm promising you come to be, and he's promised that to all of us. We all want to be successful traders, and he's promised us that if we do what we know we're supposed to do, we will have success. For then you will make these words. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night. Something, something, something. For then you will have prosperity, and then you will have good success. I butchered the middle part of that. I got the first and the last part right. That's Joshua, I believe. We have a promise from God, but he also promises, hey, not if you forget me, but when. Oh, that one hurts. So be honest here. Let me know in the chat. Have you ever prayed harder for your trading when it was going the wrong way than it was when it was going the right way? Just say yes. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to testify. You don't have to, air dirty laundry. Just put a yes in the chat. If you've ever found yourself praying when your account is down, maybe you didn't pray when your account was up. So there's absolutely a warning in the Bible for forgetfulness. Dan says yes. There's also a danger. Oh, I love this one. There's a danger of self-reliance. Deuteronomy again. All right. Next slide. There we go. Fantastic. Man, I'm loving this. Then, this is later on, not too far later. Then you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gained me this wealth. And you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you power to get wealth. And by the way, at some point, not tonight, not next week, at some point, we're going to have this discussion. You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the power to get wealth. At some point, we're going to have that discussion on, does God want us to be wealthy? I'm going to get banned from YouTube for that one, and possibly my own church. We're not going there tonight. He who gives you the power to get wealthy, that he may establish. Why? Why is he giving you the power to get wealth? That he may establish his covenant, which he swore to your fathers, as it is to this day. Don't forget, it's him who gave you the power to get wealth. And what happens? What happens if we forget who it is that brought us here in the first place? I love this story, and I'm just going to read. I'm going to read here first. Then I'm going to offer up my opinion on the matter. Daniel, chapter 4, starting verse 30. The king, this is Nebuchadnezzar. The king spoke, saying, love this. All right, I said I was going to read first, and then I'm going to expand. All right, so I'm going to read first. The king says, Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty? You're detecting a theme here. I know you can't. You are. While the word was still in the king's mouth. I love that. A voice fell from heaven and said, King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken. And because he had been warned a year ago. The kingdom has departed from you, and they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times years, seasons, months, I'm not going there, shall pass over you until you know that it is the Most High that rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. So Nebuchadnezzar stands outside and says this thing. Is it not, is not this Babylon that I built for me and my mighty power? Well, okay, a couple of things that I like to point out here. One of which is, who's he talking to? Right? There's no one else in the story. Right? There's no other character in the story. Is he talking to a servant? No, that's not how the king of the world, and that's what Nebuchadnezzar was. He was king of the world, the known world. He's not conversing with his servants. Who's he talking to? He's either talking to his God or he's talking to God, one of the two. And he's kind of bloviating here. Hey, look at me. Look at what I am looking at, right? Because he's out on his balcony looking out over Babylon. Look what I am looking at. Look how great this thing is, and I have done it by myself, for myself. And God's like, really? Bet. And there's so much to this story. I would love to teach an entire lesson on this story, because for all of God's driving him out back and making him eat grass like a cow, his hair grows long like eagle's feathers, and it was just nasty and like Babylonian dreadlocks. His fingernails grew like eagle's talons, but yet God provided for him. And how do we know God provided for him? Because he ate grass and didn't die. Humans can't do that. Anyway, moving on to the point of this, which is Nebuchadnezzar forgot who it was that gave him this power in the first place. And man, did he pay for it. But ultimately, he paid for it and was able to give glory to God in the end. None of us want to do that, right? None of us want to have the King Nebuchadnezzar treatment. When our account is up 100%, and we say, is this not my firm account that I have built for my own pleasure, for my own whatever? Because not that I think God punishes us, but God does correct us. Right? What's the difference? I'm not going there tonight. Just remember, what was the verse? Hang on, let me pop that up there. Oh, hang on. This is why I need a producer. The verse was in Deuteronomy. For it is he, the Lord, who gives you power to get wealth, not we ourselves. So there is a danger in achieving trading success. And honestly, I think success is the God's power we get wealth. Absolutely. I think that success, honestly, can be one of the more dangerous emotions that we can experience. Number one, because when you're first starting out, you don't have any experience experiencing it, if that made sense. All right. You had the least amount of experience feeling success, and you do anything else. I often say, and this is a country music song out there in the world somewhere, 10 feet tall and bulletproof. I have no idea where it comes from. I thought it was Johnny Cash, but I don't believe it is. That's the worst emotion you can experience as a young trader, because you think, I can do no wrong. I'm going to go out there and do anything I want to, right? Fear in trading will keep you out of the market. 10 feet tall and bulletproof will not only make you lose everything you've got, but if you're trading on leverage, it'll make you lose twice that you've got. So keeping grounded, remembering why we are doing this in the first place, is the antidote to this forgetting God. Now, an antidote happens after the fact. We would love to be inoculated ahead of time. It is the vaccine. Oh, I can't talk about vaccines on YouTube. That'll get me banned for sure. I think sometimes we don't have wealth and are not ready for it. Well, that's absolutely true. Okay, I'm going to have to do this series at some point. We as Christians, I believe we have had an incorrect view of wealth these last 1,000 years. And we've been warned against it so much that none of us would know what to do with it. But at the end of the day, it says, don't lay up treasure for yourself on earth, where thieves steal and moths destroy. Lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven. Well, I think the key factor there is lay up for yourselves treasures on earth. If we're laying up our treasure here on earth for others, the entire purpose of that trading account, if every single dollar that comes out of it goes for the furtherance of God's kingdom. I think that's probably a better option. Moths and rust destroy. Was there thieves in that somewhere? Anyway, if you're new to this channel, you will know that I have lots and lots of verses memorized. Excuse me, I have lots and lots of the first half of a verse memorized. I would highly encourage you to all memorize the whole thing. Before we go any further, we're talking about keeping things in perspective, not forgetting God, the one who brought us the wealth in the first place, the one who gives us the ability. And I love that. God doesn't give us wealth. God gives us the ability to get wealth. We're talking about spirituality than actual money. And that is absolutely true. And even in this, I did a video this past week when I was outside on a beautiful Mississippi morning when it was 100% humidity, talking about how creative God is and how creative trading can be. And that's one of the things I love about it, is that you can design a system around anything, around it. And just, okay, really, really bad transition into 15-second plug for our course starting next Monday. We only got a couple of spots left. The whole point of this course that we're teaching is called Family Friendly Trading. And the whole point of it is helping you design a system around your family, around your schedule, and around your personality that we help you design it for yourself. This is a teach a man to fish method, not give a man a fish. And this, I think, ties into what we just talked about. It says God is the one who gives us the ability to create wealth. He doesn't give us the wealth. I'm not interested in giving you a trade plan. I have some that you can, rifle through if you'd like it. But my entire purpose is to help you have the ability to create wealth through something that you build yourself. So that's the purpose of our course, is to help you build a system around you and your family without taking time away from them. If you want more information about that, there's a link down at the bottom of this. It's godlytrading.com. Hang on, I've got a picture of it somewhere. If I had a producer, he would have popped this up already. Is that it? Nope. How does one do this? If I click that button, there it is. So it's godlytrading.com/class. All right, enough of producerless plugging. I think that this is an element that we all need to have, because when we keep others in front of our eyes, when we focus on the who and the why, that's what the course does. The first, of the 6 questions we were all taught in elementary school about how to write a newspaper article, right? Maybe it was just me. The who, what, where, when, why, how. It's like the 5 W's and the H. Most people on social media, most traders, most everybody says that we're worried about the how. How do I trade? How do I trade? How do I trade? What do I trade? But how do I trade? The most important question you ask yourself at the very beginning is why, and then who. Those go together. Why am I trading, and for whom am I trading? Not just here on Earth, but who am I trading ultimately? When you do that, that's when I think you do inoculate yourself from the here I am a success, but I haven't forgotten God in the process. The end of the journey, we're going to get there in just a second. The end of the journey is Matthew, whatever it is, that says, so let your light shine before men, that they see your good works and give glory to the Father in heaven. That's in Matthew somewhere, or possibly Mark, Luke, or John. You get the point. Moving on. So there's this danger of self-reliance. Let me ask you this question. Here's a verse I'm gonna pop up, and this is an odd one because this brings up a lot of questions that I'm not sure we want to ask. It's Proverbs 30. Remove falsehood and lies far from me. Okay, fine. Fantastic. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food allotted to me, lest I be full and deny you and say, who is the Lord? Lest I be poor and steal and profane the name of my God. I get the second one. The first one is saying, God, don't give me too much because I might forget you. And that's fine. I think there's so funny story. Wealth comes from our heart of service. Yes, it does. For lack of a better term, my godfather's father Dr. Bush, the dentist. This is a story that I was handed down through, it's like a game of telephone, through 3 different people. So I think this is the right story. Had a parishioner, if you can have a parishioner as a Baptist, you know what I'm talking about. Had a member of his church say, "Hey, I make too much money to give 10%. I'd be writing like $1 million checks every week, that kind of a thing. What do I do?" Doctor was like, "All right, let's pray about it." And he said, "All right, Father, please reduce this man's income so he's comfortable tithing." The man shot up off the floor so fast he blew his knees out. I do think that there is something to this idea. It's almost it's almost being self-aware. God, don't give me too much that I can't handle. There's a lot to this, and this might be its own talk. All right, how much can we handle? We should all want to. We should all want the ability to have as much as we can have, without worrying about forgetting God in the process. But we are all humans. We are a fallen people. We are all individually fallen. So yeah, there's this prayer out there from Proverbs. God, don't give me too much. I'm not really going to touch that. I'm going to move on from that one because I'm not entirely sure how I feel about that one personally. Almost an admission of, well, I guess everything we have is there's no point in worrying about admitting failure to God. He's the standard by which we judge failure in the first place, if you know what I mean. All right, so another one, the pattern of forgetting. Excuse me, I need my glasses. That button. Hosea. When they had pasture, they were filled, and their heart was exalted. Therefore, they forgot me. Now, speaking of forgetting, I have forgotten where in the grand scheme of Israel's journey Hosea fits in, possibly in the exile. But this is typically the cycle that we go through as humans. All right, we're satisfied, we're proud, and then we forget God. And it still happens today. It happens to all of us. That's why, hey, you know what? I wonder if more of us aren't successful for this very reason. I wonder, specifically in our trading, I wonder if you and I have ever been held back by ourselves from success for the one and only reason, not that we're not disciplined, not that we trade on tilt, not that we break our rules, but simply because God knows that if he gave us the success that we kind of deserve based on our discipline, we couldn't handle it. We would forget him. And honestly, yes, I would rather be poor and not forget God than be wealthy and forget him. I'd rather be wealthy and remember him. And I think we all probably would. But I could ask for chat commentary on that one. We'll probably all say this. And so success in trading, where is God when I'm successful, has these two elements to it. The first one is success can be dangerous if you're not prepared for it. There's so much in trading to prepare for. We mentioned last week or the week before, and I love taking verses and absolutely applying them to trading. Johnny, these would be happening faster if I had a producer. Money intensifies our bad habits. I tell you what. Well, that was a Southernism. Boy, I tell you what. Day trading, for me especially, being successful at day trading intensified. You say bad habits. All right. We're Christians here, right? We can say the quiet part out loud. I'm going to say it, applying it to me. Day trading fed into the worst parts of my sin nature. I'm going to call it a bad habit. I'm going to call it sin. Being successful at day trading, you talk about 10 feet tall and bulletproof. I was neither 10 feet tall, nor was I bulletproof, which is why I am a recovering day trader and will not go back, despite protestations from others. But when we think about success in other areas of life, success can be binary. I'm not successful and I am successful. Today's, we're all praying for the New Orleans Saints, or we all should be. Football is a prime example. All right. You want to get the guard, you want to get the ball to the goal line. You break the plane of the goal. The ball just has to touch the imaginary line and you're successful. Boom. You went from not having 6 points to having 6 points. there's so many areas of life where success is so measurable, but success in trading isn't measurable like that. Again, one of the harkening back to the class plug from 10 minutes ago. One of the things that we talk about is let us define success for ourselves. Has anyone out there ever encountered someone in conversation in everyday life, not your trading buddies online who know what trading is, but the people who have never heard of it? And they say, oh, well, how much money have you made? Is that like the first question they ask? Don't you hate that question? Because how much money you make is, again, what does how much mean? And it's a function of how much money you have. All right, I made 20%. Well, 20% of what? There's a world of difference between 20% of $1 and 20% of $1 million. Well, there's several zeros worth of difference. Jonathan says, yep. And I've always hated that question because it's putting the emphasis on the wrong thing in success. In order to have success, you have to define what success means for you. And honestly, I think that for me in this business, for Godly Trading, with our family business, with the IT department and the producer and the chief financial officer who has warned me never to put her on YouTube upon pain of I wish I was dead. Our goal is that verse from Matthew, wherever it is, that people would see our good works and give glory to the Father, and that's what success should mean for all of us in trading. But you can't put that on a chart. You can't say when I get to everyone's giving glory to God through me, I'll be successful. What does it even look like? Paul says, a better question is, how have you grown through trading? And by the way, speaking of Paul, the entire emphasis of the second half of tonight is based off of a conversation we had yesterday that will be in this very time slot next Sunday night. So I'll get to the programming note later on, but just know that next Sunday night we're going to have very in-depth and interesting conversation with one of our members about this idea of, we're talking about right now, running your race to success. Let me just show you what Paul says. The apostle, not this one. Well, I mean, this one probably said it too at some point. All right, this is Paul. Again, Paul wrote the Apostle Paul, St. Paul. I can't call him St. Paul. I'm a Baptist. I'll get kicked out. He wrote half the New Testament. But he didn't set out to write half the New Testament. He was just, when you read these epistles, these letters from Paul or Peter or James or whomever to other people, they're writing to their friends over there. And Paul is writing to the church, his buddies at the church in Philippi he helped start a church there. I love this. And he says this. There's obviously, he says, not that I've already attained. So there's preamble to this we can't go into. Not that I've already attained or am already perfected, but I press on. And the imagery that he is using in this chapter is the runner, the race, the Greek Olympic Games. I press on that I may lay hold of that for which Christ Jesus has also laid hold of me. Brethren, I do not count myself to have apprehended. I don't count myself to have won the race. I haven't gotten there. This is a guy who started, I don't know how many churches, and wrote half the Bible, half the New Testament. I don't count myself to have been successful, but this one thing I do. Forgetting those things which are behind. And look, that one little phrase, we could write an entire trading book on just forget what you did yesterday and worry about the next trade. But we're not going to write that book today. Forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward without your camera going blurry, reaching forward to those things which are ahead, I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. He's saying that success for me hasn't happened yet, regardless of everything that I have done. Every day I get up and I press on. One of the things not St. Paul said yesterday, not that you're not St. Paulie, is this idea of getting 1% better every day. I was once upon a time, I was a member of YouTube Academy, for lack of a better term. It was called Video Ranking Academy. Sean Cannell, nice Christian fellow, how to build a YouTube channel. One of the things he says is, hey, get 1% better with every single video. Traders, get 1% better with every trade. Get 1% better every day as a child of God, as a husband, as a father, as a wife, as a mother. Those are the kinds of things. And that's what Paul is saying here. He's saying we're not done. In essence, when it comes to trading success, there's no there. Does that make sense? The book talks about this journey towards joy. And yes, there's a journey there that you can get to, and you absolutely achieve it. And there's the whole literary device that I use, weaving the tale and the road signs and all those things. And you arrive at your destination of joy in trading, not success in trading. Because success is ongoing. We are never going to finish this race. With one caveat, how are we ever going to know that we have finished this particular race of trading success? Because every single day we're supposed to get up and be better than we were the day before. Even if you are trading 100% effectively, even if you have an algorithm that's doing all your trading for you and you never break a rule and you're meeting your goals, even if everything is going the way it's supposed to, your success in trading is still so much more than where you are currently. And in some ways it's encouraging. In some ways it can be discouraging. You mean I'm never gonna be done? There's one part when we will be done. I'm gonna get there in just a minute. I did not plug this one in. Let me check, see if I plug this particular verse in from Lamentations. Click and click. I did not. Okay, I'm about to read this one from over here. Spoiler alert, we're going to Timothy when Paul's dying. All right. Through the Lord's, this is Lamentations 3. Through the Lord's mercies, we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. There's an entire song about that, I believe, named that. Every single day is a new lap of the race. Yesterday's success doesn't guarantee today's success. There's a disclaimer that we who are on social media are supposed to put on anything that we do trading related, which is something along the lines of past performance is no guarantee of future performance. Which I don't like that as much. I love, we base everything on our trading course from Hebrews 11:1. It says faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And I believe that is a better, I understand their point. That's a better mark there. But whatever we did yesterday, today's a brand new day. And here's a case in point. Testimony time. Just drop me something in the chat. You can say yes or no. Has anybody ever had a good trading day followed up by a bad trading day? And what I mean by bad, I'm not going to, not out of money, but out of just simply the way that you felt about yourself as a trader. Why did I do that? Why has anybody ever given back on Friday all of the gains you made Monday to Thursday? That's a good one. Testimony time. I have mentioned I'm a recovering day trader. That's all I need to say about that one. Jonathan says yes. Oh, we got two Jonathans. That's going to be hard. Polly says yes. Johnny says, giving the best of you to the master every day, it was successful. That is absolutely true. And this is how we know that this element is it's day by day. This is why there's no such thing as arriving at the end of your trading success journey, because every single day you start over. There was a movie with Michael Keaton, who's Batman, and it says yes, called The Paper. I believe it was called The Paper. He and I forget who played his wife, and Randy Quaid were in it. Anyway, long story short, they talked about the enormity of the pressure of putting out a newspaper, because every day you're starting over from scratch. Just, you could have had a fantastic day the day before and everything went well, and the next day you're starting over from scratch. Well, that is That is how trading is. And that is one of the reasons why there's never an end to it. And that's another reason why we have to walk daily with Christ. I'm trying to remember. I'm crucified with Christ. Is that not I that Christ lives in me? There's a verse that just a closer walk with thee is the hymn is based off of it. I can't remember at the moment. In trading, the moment you stop learning, the market humbles you. In faith, the moment you stop pressing, your heart starts drifting. The moment you say, you know what? I'm doing all right. Things are going pretty well. I don't need to fill in the blank. I don't need to learn more today. I don't need to be better. I don't need to do anything different. I'm just gonna, and there's nothing, I'm not saying that you change the way you trade. I'm just saying, in as much as you watch out for trading success, lest you become Nebuchadnezzar, you have to also watch out for trading success, lest you become Laodicea. I believe the church at Laodicea in Revelation is the one that God said they're lukewarm and he's spitting them out of his mouth. He's like, I'm just sort of coasting along. At one point, I was going to call what is currently family-friendly trading, I was going to call it trading on cruise control. But that's not a good idea either. I mean, how many times we hear of car wrecks because someone was on cruise control and fell asleep? Or bless their hearts, those idiots who put the RV on cruise control and go make themselves a sandwich because they think that means it's self-driving. Anyway, every day we should be pressing on towards the mark. Every day we should wake up. We should, Galatians 5:16, walk in the Spirit, trade in the Spirit, and we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh, the lust of the trading flesh. But also, Father, what do you want to teach me today? God's not done with us yet. And we know that because we're still breathing. I'm not saying God kills us. I'm just saying that when we are done, when we have finished our race and fulfilled our purpose, we get called home. So, setting up this particular verse that we've all heard, and I have shown you already. This is Paul at the end of his life. He said, well, are you ever there? Are you ever done? Yes, you're done in this moment. This is 2 Timothy 4:7 and 8. Paul is telling Timothy, I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give to me on that day, capital D, not only to me, but also to all who have loved his appearing. There will be a time when we're done. And that's when we go home. But until then, as traders, as people who, as Christian traders, our goal is to every day get up and say, what can we do better today? To glorify God and to bless our families and to minimize our role in all of that. And that last bit is one that I am adding. We've got the logo says serving God, serving traders, and unspoken in there in the middle is leaving myself out of it. Because as we talked about at the very beginning, once we take our foot off the gas, once we allow the thought of, everything is going kind of smooth to creep in, that's when we get complacent. And complacency is not a spiritual concept. Matter of fact, Proverbs says a little slumber, a little sleep, a little folding of the hands to rest, and as is usual, I have forgotten the end of that verse. And you'll lose everything. Man, I wish I could finish verses. A little slumber, a little sleep, a little folding of the hands to rest, and calamity will come upon you like something. Johnny is not telling me that one. He's telling me something else. I am crucified with Christ. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Christ that lives within me. And the life which I now live in the flesh, I live by the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. And so, what does any of that have to do with trading? Everything. The same way that we are traders and we live this, poverty will come upon you. Thank you. The same way that we are, and people don't think, most people don't put these two things together. The same way that we are traders and we live our lives every day for this. I am crucified with Christ today as a trader, as a lawyer, as a garbage man, as a plumber. as a race car driver. Fill in the blank. For some reason we are hesitant to put trading in that category. Don't know why. Maybe because so few of us have trading as our job that we get paid for. You know, if we worked for BlackRock, we'd be a trader that gets up and goes to work. That'd be easy to understand. But this side business here doesn't carry the same weight as it does our main job. So Paul did not declare himself finished after one good mission or one good season or one church built. Only at the end of his life. That's the finish line. Not after one good trade, not after one profitable year. The real prize comes when we stand before Christ and he can say, well done. Again, not to lean too heavily into VeggieTales. There was one of their episodes about Gideon. And the angel comes and tells Gideon all the stuff he's supposed to do. And Gideon, played by Larry the Cucumber, says, man, can't God just say, well done, good and faithful servant? The angel's like, God's not going to tell you well done until you do what he told you to do. And so often, I think we forget that. We want to skip to the end. There's no skipping to the end because there is no end. So, where is God when you're successful? He's right here. But the question is, are you remembering him? So don't let success make you forget the one who gave it to you. Or remember, God created everything around us, including the Forex market and the stock market and gold. We should do an entire lesson on gold. There's a lot there. God is the one from Proverbs, from way back at the beginning of the lesson here, that gives us the ability to get wealth. God put the creativity within all of us to come up with a system. Can't come up with one, click the link, and go out there and use it to bless our families. It all comes from him. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. I believe that's in James. So don't think that having a year or 10 years under your belt of being a successful trader means that you have arrived. Success is only day by day walking closer and closer to him, because that's a journey that we will absolutely never achieve until the end. So keep moving forward, keep pressing on, and keep coming back to here. Don't forget, next Sunday night, 5 o'clock Central, we're going to have our podcast interview with Paul, not the apostle, but this Paul, and talk to him about his trading journey, and specifically as his trading journey as it relates to his faith. We are not sure because we're going to do more and more. I've got like 3 or 4 people who are lined up to do interviews with. I don't know yet if we're going to find a specific time of day, a specific time period for that, or if we're just going to do it during our Bible study for Traders Hour. By the way, the IT department and I have cranked up our podcasting again, so I will be teaching the younger generation how to trade very, very slowly in between pictures of the dog and all that kind of rabbit hole stuff. So that's coming back again as well. So thank you all for being here, and I will see you all next week.